Good evening and welcome to Calvary's Happy Hour, presented by New Mount Calvary, the Evolution Church. How is everyone this afternoon? I want to encourage you to get your drink. We have our drink. I have my ginger ale, and I also have a special guest with me today. If you guys remember, on last month, I had my daughter and my niece with me. Well, actually, my youngest daughter. So today, I have my oldest daughter with me. I know many of you are saying, your oldest daughter, how many kids you have? Well, she is my oldest goddaughter. I have two goddaughters, Claudia and Quita. So Claudia is the oldest, so I refer to her as my oldest daughter. And her mother and I have been friends for over 30 years. And as a result, I have adopted her as my child. But I want to do a pulse check with everyone today. Hey guys, guess what? It's springtime. This is my time of year when things are blossoming. Keep that in mind. This is the time of year when fruit is really, really good. Fruit comes about as a result of what's been planted and what's have been sown in that time of planting. So this is the time of year that I eat a lot of fruit and I enjoy fruit. So let's just do a pulse check. How is everyone doing? This is the fourth month of the year. A lot of things have occurred. We're kind of come to a point to where we're trying to get to some kind of normalcy. So I hope you're doing good. This is the time of year I like to sit out on my patio or on the porch and drink some real cold tea, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the day. This is my time of year. How about you? What's your favorite time of the year? Is it springtime? Is it the fall? Is it the cold? I know it's not the summer in Houston because the summer in Houston is treacherous. Who wants to be outside when it's 100-degree humidity? Right. But there's some things I want to talk about today. So the last month, I had two young ladies who were actually millennials. So today, and they were single millennials. And today I'm going to talk to a married Gen X. Okay. I feel old. But anyway, a married Gen X. So that's what I'm going to talk. We're going to kind of talk about connections, staying connected. We're going to talk about continually evolving to that person and that divine purpose God has in our lives. But I want to start off, I want to read something. I'm going to read John the 15th chapter. And this verse kind of stuck out to me, especially as it relates to springtime. If I can get here. And it says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Any branch in me that does not bear fruit, that has stopped bearing fruit, he cuts them away, trims off, and takes away. And in another version, it says, he purged. Oh, I feel like we've been purged. Because there's been some things that have been taken away from us, right? Yes, you get it. And he cleanses and repeatedly prunes every branch. Repeatedly, not one time, he prunes every branch consistently that continues to bear fruit. So the more fruit you bear, the more he prunes. Oh, Lord, I need a drink on that. So this tells me the more I bear fruit, the more I'm going to go through. He's going to continue to prune me and cut me. And then he says, every branch that continues to bear fruit, and the pruning is so that it can cut away that which is unprofitable so that you can keep bringing forth the fruit that is profitable. Continues to bear fruit to make it bear more and richer and more excellent fruit. See, that's what I just said. Jesus said, you are cleansed and pruned already. Now, I think I'm still being pruned out. So there's some things still happening that is very uncomfortable. Because of the word which I have given you, the teaching I have discussed with you. Listen, dwell in me and I will dwell in you. Live in me and I'll live in you. Just as no branch can bear fruit of itself without abiding in, bearing vitally and united to, goodness, the vine, neither can you bear fruit unless you abide in me. He says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever lives in me, and I in him bears much abundant fruit. However, apart from me, cut off from the vital union with me, you can do nothing. You can do nothing. No matter, listen, how hard we try. And let's talk about life applications, right? So the last months have been about decisions. We've had to make decisions on if we're going to take the vaccine. Should I move on with my life? Should I take a vacation? We want to, right? Should I go to the restaurant? Should I? Everything is a question, right? But for me, in this time where we're still having to make conscious decisions, what Jesus is telling us is we can't make it without being connected, right? So we're talking about him being the vine. And I want you to understand, I did some research on a vine. So a vine expands, it crawls and grows. It is not stagnant. It's not complacent. It runs, right? It just goes all over the place and it spreads. And I thought about that. I said, so what Jesus is saying to us is if we stay connected to him, we're going to grow. And we're going to grow all over the place. We're just going to just be moving, right? So with that in mind, last month, talked to DeSherry and Alyssa about their journey and about what they thought they were going to be when they grow up. So you went to Prairie View. And what is your major?
Chemical engineering. I graduated from Prairie View in the fall of '99. Went straight into a career of engineering with, back then it was Southwestern Bell. And I just knew that was the path that I would pursue, I would take. All of my friends who had graduated from Prairie View with engineering degrees were pursuing their careers. And then 9/11 came. And talk about a pruning. Last to come, first to go. Ooh. And so I took some time off and just kind of sought God and where I should go, what I should do. Took some interviews and nothing came to fruition. And there was a high school across the street from my apartment. I literally walked over. There was the assistant principal was sitting there, and I said, are you looking for somebody to teach math by chance? And this is in the summer, and anybody who's in education knows that's when everybody's hiring. That's when everybody's looking for someone. He said, as a matter of fact, I am. And he said, what do you feel comfortable teaching? We interviewed and everything. What do you feel comfortable teaching? I said, anything except for geometry. I showed up to work on the first day and had 7 classes of geometry. Said, oh Lord, what are you trying to tell me? So, everything worked out well, and after about 13 years in the classroom, I prayed and asked God. I was like, I'm not being filled anymore. Not filled, but I feel like I've kind of met this purpose. What's next? And I went back to school and got a master's degree in school counseling. And now I serve proudly as a school counselor at an HISD, and I'm the lead counselor on campus. And what was even crazier is that I knew for sure that God was wanting me to be a school counselor at the school that I had taught at for 13, 14 years. And I went for an interview and did not get the job, and started to question, did I hear God correctly? Was I supposed to pursue counseling, or was it something different? Or am I just supposed to stay in the classroom? What's next? And moved into HISD. My friend who was the lead counselor at the time at the campus where I went to work was promoted like in less than a year. And in less than a year, I moved into being the lead counselor on the campus. So, yeah, talk about life changes.
and you all don't know this, but Claudia kept my kids in the summertime, right? When they were younger. And she is not one to do kids.
I'm ashamed to say it, but she's great.
But she kept Desharia and Patrick, right? Because, you know, we had that connection. We had a connection. We were connected, talking about vines. We were attached. And there was a connection that we had, not just from a friendship because of her mother, but there was a spiritual connection as well, right? We grew to love each other. And we stayed connected. And that's what a vine does. A vine basically stay connected. And guess what? We've all grown together. So to see her and to hear her saying that now, and it's amazing at what God does. Because typically, and you all see I have grapes here, right? I love grapes. But I don't like soft grapes. I don't like mushy grapes. And probably the average person don't. They like crunchy, sweet grapes. Firm. Right? But, and I'm going somewhere with this, in saying that, what I found out though, it's not the skin or the outer surface that's sweet in the grape. It's the inside that has the sweetness. And I said that to say that although I say she didn't do kids, she didn't have the patience nor the tolerance. And I think that's just the average teenager, right? And even as the young adult, she was going to be an engineer, making all this money. But then God chose to do something different. But back to the grapes. What I found with the example of a grape is not only is it the crunchiness, but it's what's on the inside, right? But this tells me that all of us have something on the inside of us that needs to evolve and penetrate to fulfill the purpose in which we've been called to. So if you notice, another thing I like about grapes, there's diversity. On a vine, when you're connected to the vine, there's diversity, right? We all have a plan, we all have a purpose, but we stay connected to the vine, and even though we're different. So, and I said that in a sense, so I have some kind of purple grapes, right? I have what they call black grapes. Then I have, and these are all seedless, I have some green grapes. And then I have some that's kind of biracial. A little green and a little purple at the same time. And these are all seedless. And then I have the big bowl with seeds in them. But if you notice, although there's diversity in the coloring of these grapes, they're all connected to a vine, right? And they all have the same inside. All of these grapes are sweet. I was very selective as I purchased them. I felt the firmness of them, right? And I'm reminded of a scripture that Isaiah said that I'm setting my face like flint. I'm I stand focused. So when you think about how your life has changed, the average person your age, and even at the time that you became married, they feel like they're in a biological clock, like they're gonna expire soon. So they have this thing: I have to get married, I have to have children. I'm old now. Because how old were you when you got married?
28.
28? Okay, I thought you were in your 30s. You were in your 30s when you had your first child, right? How old were you when you had your first child?
30.
30. All right. So back in my day, I had my first in my 20s, right? So there's a difference there. And so what would you say to the average young lady, even today, Claudia? There are so many young ladies feel like I need to get married. I need to have my moment. And it's okay to have a nice wedding. It's okay to have all that because that is your dream. That is fine and well. But we're showing you how it's okay for you to have a plan, but then you have to be fluid.
Right.
In order to be successful. So what would you say to the average Gen X that may not even be married at this point in their lives?
I saw a quote the other day that made me think about what you said. When we make plans, we have these plans. It said, when we make plans, God laughs. I would say to the average Gen X person who has this grand timeline in your mind about where you should be and in comparison to others. As Yalitha were talking about the grapes, I was just sitting here looking at them, and I noticed that on the vine, it has several branches, and then some of the other branches actually sprouted out to make more branches. But some of them only have just one grape on them, and others of them had multiple grapes on them, but they were all connected to the vine. And when you try to compare yourself to others, you have to be very careful because you just need to tend to your vine. So I would say just...
But wait a minute. You say be careful and tend to your vine.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking peer pressure.
Yes, or comparison, comparing yourself to others. Or, they have, my friends, they all have kids, they're all getting married, they're all, some of them been married, divorced, and all kinds of stuff at this age. So you have to be very careful because you don't know what that looks like on the inside. You don't know if they are connected to the vine. So you have to be very careful about that.
Yeah. So basically, what happens is people get to the point they're seeing things on the outside.
Right.
And not understanding what's going on the inside, or how much pruning you've had to go through to get to where you are.
Right.
And being pruned is not a comfortable situation. So when you think about the grape, right? The crunchy grape. The only way to get what's on the inside of the grape, you gotta take a what?
A bite.
You have to literally bite it, right? Your teeth, the sharp object, has to go deep down inside of the grape. You have to bite it to get what's on the inside. And so typically, that's what happened to us. We have to be cut. We end up being cut and pierced and experiencing some really
devoured.
Some tough times to get out of us what's really on the inside of us.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't feel good when I got the note on my desk that today, 2 weeks from today would be your last day. That was really piercing. It was embarrassing, if I'm honest. It was embarrassing because I felt, again, looking at everyone else, all of my other friends, no one else was laid off at the time. They've experienced some layoffs throughout their career, but at the time I was the only one being laid off. I really didn't know where to go from there. I had done all this extreme interviewing upon exit of Prairie View. So that was the job that I felt chose me and I chose it. It just felt like so foreign.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know where to go from there. It was definitely a piercing. Definitely a piercing.
Yeah. So when I think about being connected to the vine, so had you not been connected to some type of powerful source, it's very well possible that you could have made wrong decisions and you could have went a course that was totally could have been totally damaging. And if the truth be told, you have taken some turns that have been totally damaging. Yeah. I remember when you were you working for Southwest Mill when you were in Kentucky? What were you doing in Kentucky?
I interned in Kentucky the semester before I graduated.
Okay. Okay.
With 3M.
With 3M.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so you think about all of if the truth be told, have you taken some wrong turns?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is there do you have any regrets?
From where I'm sitting right now, no. Because I wouldn't be where I was. I wish I would have maybe made some better decisions. But for where I am sitting right now today with my current life, the way things have played out, I don't. I believe that if anything, I believe that if any part of what was in the past had been different, I wouldn't be where I was now. I love my husband. I have a wonderful husband. I have wonderful children. I enjoy going to work on a daily basis. I don't feel like I'm working. I feel like I'm serving. I'm actually a counselor at the high school where I graduated.
Oh, really?
I am. And I remember not receiving a lot of services that I try now to give to the students that are there. I remember having to find my own scholarship for Prairie View. I remember having to, not knowing how the bill was going to get paid for school. I just showed up. So, yeah. So I don't think that anything was a mistake. Are there some things that I did that I wish I didn't do? Yeah, but I don't regret it. I don't regret it because it taught me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you had to, you don't regret the change and the pitfalls, right? But you just wish you had made better choices.
Correct.
So basically, you're continually staying, even though, and that's good because typically, even though we're connected to the mind, right? You're going to make some choices that are wrong. And I think about, although you make wrong choices, you were still loved. You were still being encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
You were still being pushed in areas that you probably didn't like.
Absolutely.
And you received guidance that you didn't like.
Absolutely.
However, I think about Adam and Eve, right? When they disobeyed God in the Garden of Eden. And the Lord said, hey, where are y'all? And they're hiding.
Yeah.
Right? Because they realized they were naked. And then he said, who told you you were naked? Who told you you made a mistake?
Mm-hmm.
So in that, they confessed their sin, basically. And say, we ate of the fruit that you told us not to eat. But God gave them their discipline, their punishment for falling. But then he turned around and made clothing from a coat and covered them because they were ashamed because they were naked. So when you think about some of the discipline that you have received, because I'm sure there's been times that I've said things to you that you didn't like. And you became angry sometimes. I remember one conversation you and I were having, you started crying in the bedroom. We were talking about some little boys. And y'all know me, I'm just going to be straight. I'm going to tell it like it is. And, I hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
And she started crying. Which, it didn't bother me that you started crying.
Oh, no.
this is funny. My grandmother used to say, the more you cry, the less you urinate. So, and even with the Sherry, when she was younger, they go to that crying, that doesn't faze me one bit. So, when you think about, when you know that you are connected to your source, or that you know that you're connected to what's good, and you know you have a connection to someone that has your best interests at hand, that you know that love you and care for you, that makes a difference. But Claudia, how can my generation relate to your generation and impart wisdom? Because I heard T.D. Jakes say something on his Drop the Mic interview that he was doing. He was saying that this generation is hearing from God, but they don't know what to do with what they're hearing. And we need to impart wisdom to the generations coming so that they would know how to handle what they hear God saying, right? So, people within my generation and older, we want you guys to do things the way we did them. But this is what, and I will admit, guys, this is where we fail to realize. I remember what church was like when I was growing up. My mother, I'm not going to call the name of a church, attended this church. The folks sung like they were in an opera. We hated it. And we remember how the deacons used to do their devotion, right? And no disrespect, that's what they knew at that generation. As I began to evolve, to, up into my era, I liked a little bit more beat. Right. That's when Yolanda Adams was start coming out singing when something community choir. Can't think of the name of it, but anyway, that was our type of music. Right? So, and even like, as it relates to R&B, mine was more like the Earth, Wind and Fire, the Commodore, those type of people. Right. Well, that's not your forte. No. You all don't like that.
We were more the Kirk Franklin. That was our generation.
And we thought that he was just too lucky. Especially when he came out with Stone. Oh my God. We were like, what is he doing?
Right.
But now, we love it.
Yeah.
So I think what happens is people within my generation and older, they want you all to come up. They want you to mature. We want you to do and evolve into the young men and women God has called you to do, but we want you to do it our way. And what we fail to realize is we didn't do it the way our parents wanted us to do it.
Right. And I think my generation, I believe, you guys thought we were not listening, but we were. We were listening, and we are putting it into practice as we get older.
But wait a minute, Cardi, if y'all were listening, why y'all always get mad?
Because we wanted to do it our way. And I don't think at that time we knew how to apply. As you said, I was learning the lesson, but I didn't know how to apply the lesson. And as I'm getting older and have children of my own and encountering other adults and my peers, I can remember those lessons, and I know now, this is what they were talking about. Because I think it was a good foundation, but I hadn't had the experience in order to apply it yet.
Okay.
So it's like, like when my mom would say, everybody who's skinny get grin in your face ain't your friend. Well, they're skinny and grinning. Why? Yes, they are my friend. Now I know. Everybody that's skinny and grinning is not your friend. It didn't make sense. Don't take any wooden nickels. All those little sayings like that. You didn't understand them then, but now, as I'm older and I'm having these experiences in life, all of it's making sense and it's become full circle.
So basically, we have taught you guys how to get connected, develop a relationship, gave you foundation, but the issue is stepping back and allowing you to evolve and experience what you need to experience so that you can grow and sustain and be. So typically,
and pass that information along to the next generation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So when you look at, since we talked about kids, I'm sure you're not relating to Kaylee and Trey the way we related to you.
Oh, no. I can't. They don't understand it. They don't get it. I can't say the same lessons of, just do as I say, and not necessarily not as I do, but you just gonna do what I say do. They want to know why, how, when. I'm like, do it, and I find myself explaining. I'm like, I never would have gotten that explained to me that way. But I'm trying to make it so that they understand, and so we can have dialogue, so we can have an open relationship, so that they can feel free enough to come to me, so that we can discuss things that, down the line, it's, why you have to get off the phone at 10 o'clock. I want you to be able to come and discuss relationships with other people with me. I don't want to close that door and make it seem like, I'm not your little friend. I'm not your little friend, but I want us to be able to have that, open enough of a relationship.
So you learning how to parent.
Yes. It's not easy.
It's not easy. And I'm reminded of the scripture where Jesus said, every generation becomes weaker and wiser. So you can't treat your children or communicate with them the way we communicated with you guys. Because it doesn't work, guys. We've got, and guess what? It doesn't mean that you're not a godly parent.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you're not doing the right thing. It's your method. So we're talking about the vine now. The vine grows. It just grows. It moves. Each generation is faster and faster. It just moves. It just grows. So whereas now I'm at a point in my life, I'm a little bit more laid back than what I used to be.
Right.
But I can do that now.
Yes.
But you can't be laid back.
No.
She has to be smarter. She has to be on top of it. She has to be
a step ahead.
all the time. And you have and one thing that I found, even though my kids are grown, I found the only way that I get a good communication line and dialogue is if I talk to them like you and I are talking right now.
Right. Screaming, fussing, none of that works. They shut down.
But I'm the
mind you.
But I'm the parent. I remember one time Patrick did something. He in his own apartment now. He has his own house. I was so upset with that boy. I told him I'm fussing at him and going off and raising my voice, and I'm coming over there and I'm like, and when I hung up the phone, I thought, I don't pay his rent. I don't pay any of his bills.
Right.
He's not asking me for money, but I'm trying to tell him how to live. And he just hold the phone. I give him that. He wasn't disrespectful. He just listened and then just like, okay, Mom. And then for days, I didn't talk to him. He called himself mad at me. I'm mad at you too. Then when I do decide to call, he wouldn't answer the phone. I'm like, okay, you're going to need me before I need you. But it just goes to show you that it is so important, regardless of how you feel, regardless of where you are in life, you have to stay connected to the vine. Communities are important. I never forget when I lost my home in the fire right at Harvey. My neighbors, we see each other, we wave. We don't talk because we all busy. We're not the real close neighbors like back in the day when we were growing up. But people throughout the neighborhood ran to our rescue. And so that's staying connected, not only just to the Father, but also being connected to, as you stated, the additional branches that are connected to the vine. Because who am I to say that my neighbors did not have a relationship with the Lord? Right? But what they did was, what did James say? Faith without works is dead. So what they did was if they did not have a relationship with the Lord. I couldn't tell.
Right.
Because they immediately came to our rescue as a community. And guess what? There's diversity in my community.
Mm-hmm. Right. All look different. Mm-hmm.
But they sowed seeds that afterwards, and I prayed, and I'm sure they have, that produced a fruit because of the hope. Because of the hope. So, and as we're wrapping up, you think about the grapes. Understand there's diversity in the clusters. The life is in the vine. As long as these grapes are connected to this vine, amazingly, they stay plump, it takes time for them to start withering and getting soft, right? But once you take it off, typically once one grape has been taken off the branch, it doesn't take very long for it to get mushy. Right? So the life is in the vine. And we have to respect the attachment or the branch that each and every one of us have. You may not have done or became everything that your parents wanted you to be or what they intended for you to be.
Right.
Or what they spent their money on. Yeah, let's not go there. Patrick told me he was going to be a lawyer, and I thought, oh, good, you would make a good one. When that boy told me he was changing his major to education, I said, what? I thought you were going to be able to pay my note. Now I'm going to have to pay your note if you're going to be a teacher, right? Oh, my God. But that was his journey. And look at him now, right? So a lot of times you may not end up being or becoming what you thought, but giving you the room to evolve, to be the young lady that God has designed and purposed you to be, and giving you the room to evolve on how to even raise your children in a manner that's conducive to the environment. Giving your children room to grow with the foundation of being connected to the vine. I have not raised my children the way my mother raised me. Because there were some things she wouldn't have tolerated. Right? But what we have to understand is our parents raised us on what they knew. The best they knew. The best that they knew. And I think that's stellar. So as a result, younger parents, this generation, as you all raise your kids, you're raising them based on what you know. And what's and I don't want to say what's acceptable, but what's conducive for the culture and the environment in which we currently live in.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, is what we currently live in. So with that in mind, final thoughts. When we think about the vine, and we think about grapes, and we're thinking about this springtime fruit, I'm excited. This is the time that we get to experience good fruit from the seeds that we have sown. We've sown bad seeds. We've sown good seeds. But God is so faithful, He tends to forgive us for sowing those bad seeds. Right? So with some final thoughts for, if you had to say, if you could, I'm going to give you this opportunity. What would be your word as a Gen X? What is it that you feel will be beneficial from my generation to help you to evolve continually to be what God has called you to be? What is it that you would need from this generation that would help you? Just be transparent.
I would say patience. I would also say repetition, in the sense of reminding us of those foundational Christian principles. Because although we are true adults and have pursued, a little more experience in life, we still oftentimes, I feel like at this point in my life, I'm like right in the middle of the old and the young. Like I still want to go to bed around 10, but every now and then I could do one or two, like I'm just kind of like right in the middle there. And just patience, I think a lot of expectation is on Gen X because we're the generation that was, we were kind of right in the middle of the development between pencil paper and the virtual world. And so like the generation directly after us has no idea about handwriting papers or, not no idea, but there was not a system when I entered college. Computers were just being developed. Yeah. And, the internet had just become a thing. Like we were still AOLing and dial-up internet when I entered college. So we're just kind of like right in the middle of that generational gap between the old and the new. Okay. And I think your generation, baby boomers, is that correct? Yes. Needs to just kind of keep us reminded and keep us a little grounded of kind of like where our people have come from. Like I think you have the connection with the older generation. You still your parents were parents that possibly were right after slave ownership, So you guys have that memory of what it was like in the Deep South when things were just not good at all for us. I think that our generation just kind of needs that patience, those reminders, and
but Cardi, we don't have the patience for reminding. Because the way we are, didn't I just tell you that?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my God.
Yes, you did just say it, but I need you to say it again.
Why do I have to keep reminding you? And you're grown. But
because Jesus keeps reminding you. Right? He keeps giving you grace.
You're talking to, right? Watch out now. Wait.
Grace.
So, okay, back at you.
Okay.
So how do you feel when you have to repeatedly tell Trey and Kaylee what you're doing?
Frustrated, but I keep saying it. Because he keeps extending me grace, I have to continue to extend them grace. He doesn't cut me off. I get a spanking, he tells me again, and then I try again. Same thing with them. A spanking, I tell you again, and then we try again.
Okay.
Right.
But and it's a true saying though. The older we get, the shorter our patience.
True. Very true.
I'll admit that. I just don't have patience for foolery. And I feel you need to be a little bit more responsible. But our parents felt the same way.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't I just tell you? Yeah, you did, but I forgot. Agree. And I think that's fair. That our generation need to display patience and allow and be repetitive in those things that's for the betterment of your life.
That's foundational pieces.
And to increase your foundation so that you all can evolve and grow to the men and women that God has ordained you to be. Agree. Well said, well taken. I will be patient with my children. Thank you so much for joining Calvary's Happy Hour. We hope that you enjoyed this segment listen, it's springtime. Enjoy your day. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.